Y'all mind if I cry? Alrighty then, so this was an inevitable one that I'd have to be making around this time. That's right, a review of Avengers Endgame, because it's topical, and I saw it, and I have thoughts on it that'll probably be nigh unintelligible, but there we go. So first of all, I thought I'd do something different, and I thought I'd bring my good friend and associate, Memory Sergeant Hartman, to tell you what he thought of the movie. What did you think, Hartman?
You won't laugh. You won't cry.
Excellent. More or less what I thought too.
You are a worthless piece of shit.
Ow. That's just hurtful. Shitty memes aside, I did really enjoy the movie. It's just as a brief thought before I get into spoilers. As a standalone movie, it's nigh incomprehensible. But as the ending of an 11-year story, I don't really think I could have asked for much more. I was walked out of the theater both times, very satisfied with what we got. I do have a couple of nitpicks though. Well, not really nitpicks. There are a couple of problems with the movie, and I'm about to get into those. But overall, it is the perfect ending to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as I care about it, because after this, I don't care. You can't make me care. I'm too tired. So, let's get into spoilers. First of all, if you have the opportunity to see this movie in IMAX, do that, because the movie's insane enough as it is, but once you watch it in IMAX, it becomes massive. Like, when I saw it on the IMAX screen, there were parts of it where it was so big, my brain could hardly comprehend what was going on in front of me. So, yeah, no, it is a huge, huge movie. There are a lot of really, really good moments. There are a lot of head-scratching moments. We'll get the stuff that didn't quite work for me out of the way first, because I feel like that'll be easier. First of all, I don't know what to do with their characterization of Thor. I really don't. They got some jokes out of it, but most of the time it felt like the jokes they were getting out of it kind of undermined the severe trauma that he was going through, because the whole point of Thor's character in this movie is that he's severely traumatized by the end of Infinity War, and it's just got him really messed up. But the way they went about that, it is realistic that someone would lock themselves up in their own little space for years on end in a sort of depression. That does happen, but the fact that they kept squeezing jokes out of it, I don't know how to feel about that. Some of them were funny, but it was still very confusing. Also, on the same note, I don't know what to do with Cork playing Fortnite. That was a thing, I guess. Also, the time travel in this movie does not make sense the first time. You have to watch it again before the time travel logistics actually make any sense at all, because most of the time when you're watching a movie, you're used to the concept that if you change the past, you change the future. But with this movie, they do a thing where it's like, you change the past, you create an alternate future that you're not a part of. Which adds up, but the first time round, it kind of threw me off, because there was a bit where 2023 Nebula kills 2014 Nebula, and I was like, hold on, so shouldn't she disappear? Or something like that? Because I forgot the rules, because the rules are different here. So yeah, definitely watch it another time if the time travel confused you. Now let's move on to the good stuff. The good stuff mostly revolves around how final everything felt. Because it really feels like they took the time to make sure that they gave all of the characters a good ending. Except for Nat. Why did they do Nat like that? At the end of the movie, I was really happy for the most part. Tony finally got to rest. Steve got his dance with Peggy. Clint got to be with his family. Thor got to just truck around and just have a good time. And Hulk, I should add another thing to the things I didn't like. Professor Hulk looked ridiculous. The biggest throwing point for this movie for me is the fact that the computer-generated effects can either look awesome, like when Tony was in space with Nebula, or they can look like Professor Hulk looked weird. Thanos looked like a video game character every time he was on screen. That's not a problem exclusive to this movie. It was just super noticeable here. Like, there are some shots on the farm planet with Thanos that are so fake. And I get it, they're creating these landscapes from scratch, but still, they look like video game shots, and it kind of throws me off. The whole time heist thing was fun, giving us a good look at kind of a surface look of how badly Earth is messed up after the snap. I did appreciate that because I was worried they'd just gloss over it, but they didn't, so I'm happy there. As I said, the whole time heist thing is a lot of fun, and it goes off the rails very quickly, and then the last hour of the movie is just insane. Words cannot express the insanity that is the last hour of this movie, because every time something changes, you're just left sitting there like, oh shit! I mean, once they get all the stones and Hulk snaps his fingers, the movie just loses its mind. Like, you've got Captain America wielding Mjolnir, which made me want to stand up and cheer like a 10-year-old. That last battle is so insane, and sometimes it does devolve into visual noise just because of how massive it is, but it is so big that first time around you just get swept up into it and you just don't question anything. It's on the second viewing that you start picking up little details like, okay, but how did all the female Avengers end up in that one spot at that one time so they could do the bigger, like, audience applause break pose? Don't get me wrong, it was cool, and I like a cool shot, but it's just all of them happen to be in the same place. Then again, I am asking for logic from a 3-hour superhero movie about time travel, so I might be asking a bit much there. But still, regardless, really cool shot, so I shouldn't complain too much. Of course, Iron Man's zinger before he snaps his fingers is iconic. Then he dies. Now, I haven't cried at a movie since I was 11 watching Toy Story 3. And that was only because we were moving at the time, so all the themes of Toy Story 3 were pretty relevant to our life at the time. So when Andy gave away his toys to the 4-year-old girl, I was crying like a 4-year-old child. So after that, I was like, not doing that crying at a movie thing again. There have been a few that have been close, like Interstellar, Inception, somehow, Unbreakable multiple times, Infinity War. You didn't make me cry when Spidey died, but you got me close. But with Endgame, I cried twice. So yeah, when Nat died, that was tears, but not too many, because it was just like, that's tragic, but I'm not going to cry at this movie, I'm going to best this movie. And then Tony died, and that was the end. That was tears time. If you want to see grown men cry, go see Endgame, because I've never seen a grown man cry until I walked out of that theater and saw this like big 30-year-old bloke wiping his eyes. I've never seen that before. So thanks to this movie for showing me something I've never seen in my life. That's probably horrible, but I don't care. Then Steve gets his dance with Peggy, which is also super sweet. So after this ramble of a tangent that made no sense, what do I have to actually say to justify this video? Endgame is not a perfect movie by any definition of the word. It's got some faulty logic, it's got some bizarre characterization, and it gets kind of caught up in its own grandiosity a lot of the time. The latter one I can probably forgive because of how insane it really is. If you are looking for a satisfying conclusion to the original Avengers and their story, Again, I don't really think I could ask for much more. It was excellent. And at watching it, it was kind of bittersweet because on the one hand, sad to see it end, but on the other hand, I'm kind of relieved because it's been so long and it's been so massive that it's time to let it go. That's Endgame. Definitely go see it if you've not. I mean, if you've been watching this and getting all spoiled without having seen it, that's your own problem. But and if you haven't seen it a second time, I might recommend it because you will probably see some of the cracks in it, but that won't make it any less of a good movie. I think. I think a second viewing can really help you appreciate what the movie is after getting all swept up in the insanity of it all the first time round. That's how it was for me anyway. But after this ramble of attention, I'm just going to sign off, and I'll see you all later.
Kiss me once, then kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. Haven't felt like this.